Hello, dear friends, brothers and sisters. Welcome to a series of new episodes. This particular series that we are starting will assist you to attain oneness with your true nature, that of absolute happiness, and help you to be in oneness with your changeless reality, which actually is God himself. So if you were to really pay attention and listen and practice to this new series of videos, it will actually help you to fulfill the highest purpose of human birth. One, to be in a state of unconditional happiness, which is not controlled by one's personal desires, and two, to be always in oneness and never shift from your changeless reality, which is the self or God himself. So the first episode that we are making in this series called Attaining to Absolute Happiness is called The Influence of Solar Energy. So this particular title and this particular talk originally comes from my own Rishi, Master Beinsa Douno, who is from Bulgaria. And this particular talk or spiritual discussion will actually help you to synchronize your biorhythms of your day-night cycle with the biorhythms of nature. So if you were to follow what we are going to discuss in this particular spiritual discussion, then it will help you to lead your day and your night, through which you go through every day in the most beautiful, the most exquisite, the most serene, and in the most peaceful way. So once again, the title of this episode is The Influence of Solar Energy. So now let us start by taking the example of a battery. You see, you can look at the battery in a torch, or you can look at the battery in your microphone. Sorry, not microphone, in your mobile. So you see, what has the battery got? It's got a positive pole and it has got a negative pole, right? So what happens? When the current flows from the higher positive pole to the lower negative pole, so means from a higher potential to a lower potential, that is how actually the current flows. Say, for example, it's a torch or it's your mobile. So what happens? The bulb in the torch actually lights up, right? When this current is flowing from the higher potential to the lower potential, or from the positive to the negative, to make it very simple, right? And the same thing happens with the mobile. You've got this battery, the current flows, the potential is there from the positive to the negative. Your mobile is in between, and as a result of that, your mobile phone is actually working, right? So similarly, you see the sun. I'm talking about our physical sun. This is at a much higher potential, and you can consider that as the positive pole, and our earth you may consider as the negative pole, which is at a much lower potential. So as a result, you see, of the difference in potential, the current is actually flowing from the physical sun to our earth, right? Not only to our earth, but also to you, wherever you may be on earth, right? So now there is something very interesting also to be noted here. You see, what happens is that the sun consists of three different levels or cells, right? So what happens, or let's put it, consists of 3 layers, right? So the outer layer actually receives light, right? And the middle layer is actually storing that light. And then the innermost layer is actually utilizing that light for the life of the sun, right? So the sun has got 3 layers. The outer receives, the middle stores, and the inner one uses it for its, own energy. Now, the human body has got about 23 billion cells. And the human body also, each single cell has got an outer layer, which is the skin, the covering of the cell. Then there is the inner layer, the middle layer, which is the cytoplasm or the liquid, where all activities are taking place. And then you see at the center is the nuclei. And the nuclei is responsible for reproduction, subdivision, and all the functions of the cell. So these 3 layers of each cell correspond to the 3 layers of the physical sun. And this is actually how, you see, our entire body receives this light from the sun. Very, very interesting, right? Anyway, these are just some interesting spiritual scientific facts I'm actually putting forward. So now we come to the most interesting part, you see, of this particular discussion. You see, the sun, our physical sun, does not generate its own light. Very interesting fact, right? The light that our sun receives is from another sun, which we call as the central sun. Now, talking a little bit about the central sun, what is this central sun? You see, if you look at our galaxy, the Milky Way, right? So, right at the center of this galaxy is a huge sun, right? Which we call as the spiritual sun or the central sun. And this is 500 million times more powerful than our physical sun. And the other thing you have also got to take into account is that, there are at least 100,000 suns, right, in our own galaxy, the Milky Way. And there are, more than 1 million solar systems, right, just in our own galaxy. So how do all the stars, how do all the suns, how do all our planets are kept in orbit as they are revolving? It is all because of the central sun, right? Even our own physical sun and our 9 planets, which we know at present, there are actually 14, right? Our own sun and our own solar system takes 225 million years, right, to complete one orbit around the central sun, right? And the central sun extends into the astral, into the mental, into the bodhic, and into the spirit realms as well. But this is a known fact. And we are showing you these images as we are going along. Like this is an image of the galaxy, and it actually shows the central sun, right? Now, light comes from the central sun to Earth, right? And how does it actually reach Earth? The light travels from the central sun to our physical sun, and from the physical sun, it comes to Earth, or it comes to you, wherever you may be, right? A very interesting fact. And then by some means, you see, this wasted energy or light that is utilized by us is returned back to the physical sun, right? And from the physical sun, it goes back to the central sun, right? Where, it is recycled, it is regenerated, and then it comes back to the physical sun, and that is how the cycle continues, right? So a little bit of a background, coming to the understanding of our own day-night cycle. Now, please look at this diagram about the day-night cycle. So it is very important actually to follow the day-night cycle here if you're really going to understand that how from morning till midnight how we are actually functioning. You see, what happens is that we are actually active. Our body actually is active because of, the what we call as prana, right? Or what we call as, pranic energy or etheric energy is the one because of which we are actually active. And, this pranic energy or etheric energy is nothing. If you look at the sky, and in the sky you will see, small gray matters, in the blue sky. That basically is the etheric energy or the prana that we actually utilize. But where does it actually come from? You see, it comes from the physical sun, right? It comes from the solar energy coming from the sun. Now, how much of solar energy do we receive? That is the important point, right? And this will depend upon, how close we are actually to the sun. Say, for example, your name is Tom, right? I'll use the example of Tom. So Tom, say, lives in New York, right? Or Tom, say, lives in Sydney. Now, how close is Tom living in Sydney, and how close is Sydney towards the sun? So you see how close you are actually towards the sun. That basically determines the amount of solar energy that flows to Tom, right? Now look at this diagram very, very carefully, right? What happens is that and you'll be astounded by some of the facts that I'm actually going to put in front of you, because we are now coming to the very core of this discussion. Now, as you look at this diagram, you see what happens is we are moving anti-clock, right? So basically our Earth, it rotates once fully around its axis, and that is basically how you get the day when we are moving towards the sun, and that is how you get the night when we move away from the sun. So as you are actually looking at this diagram, right, at 12 o'clock at midnight, right, what happens is, say for example, you are in Sydney, Tom is in Sydney, so it is 12 o'clock midnight. So what happens is that now the Earth is rotating anti-clock, and so is Tom rotating with Earth, and you see we are moving towards the physical sun, which is on the left hand side of this diagram, right? Now, as we move towards the sun, the distance is decreasing, right? And we are moving towards sunset. So what happens is that now Tom and Sydney are actually negative with respect to the physical sun. So you see, this is when you are maximum negative with respect to the sun, and that is actually, you are actually receiving tons and tons. You receive a lot of what we call as that solar energy. Now, you also know from your own personal experience that if you get up in the morning, say about 5 o'clock or around sunrise, and you go for a walk, the air is full of this solar energy. It's full of this etheric energy or prana, right? And that is the best time for you to do any work that actually you want to do, right? So this is the first quarter when we are actually receiving energy from midnight till 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, once the sun has risen, we move into the second quarter from sunrise until noon, 12 o'clock, right? So what happens is that now the amount of prana or the amount of solar energy decreases, but you are still negative with respect to the physical sun because you're still moving towards the physical sun. You see, if you refer back to that diagram, you are still moving towards the sun, right? So what happens is, though you still receive the pranic or the etheric or the solar energy from the sun, but it is not so much as compared to what you were receiving from 12 o'clock midnight till, sunrise, right? So this is the second phase where you are still very active, still receiving a lot of energy, right? But now we come to the third quarter, right? What happens is at midnight, sorry, not midnight, midday, at 12 o'clock, see, we are moving anti-clock. Now, referring to that diagram, what happens is, now suddenly at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you have started moving away from the sun, right? Look, you're moving away from the physical sun. And what happens is that here, you actually become positive. Look, from negative, you have become positive with respect to the physical sun, and you do not receive energy, right? All that energy that you got from midnight till morning and from morning till the mid-afternoon, that is the energy that you will now utilize for the rest of the day. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you actually start losing energy, right? You actually become positive with respect to the physical sun. And also note, at 12 o'clock, you see, midday, we are moving anti-clock, and you have started actually moving away from the physical sun, right? These are facts known to the great sages, right? Which I'm putting in front of you so that you can actually really learn how your biorhythms, function with respect to the biorhythms of, the sun or, nature, right? So now from 12 o'clock midday, right, or afternoon till 6 o'clock, you see, you are maximum positive with respect to the sun because you're moving away from the physical sun, right? And actually you're losing a lot of energy, right? So now what happens at sunset? You still continue, you see Tom, who lives in Sydney, continues to move away from the sun, and darkness comes in. After sunset, there is darkness. So you are still positive, you are still losing energy, but not maybe so much energy as you were losing, just before sunset. Because at sunset is the maximum amount of energy that actually your body loses, right? So what happens is then slowly we reach the midnight, right? And we cross over. So right at midnight, we start moving again towards the sun. And so we start actually receiving energy. So these are the 4 quarters. Summarizing, from midnight till sunrise, you receive a lot of energy. From sunrise to mid-afternoon, you still receive quite a lot of energy, right? But then from midday in the afternoon, you start giving out energy. You don't receive any more energy, right? And that continues till sunset. And then you move into the last quarter where still you continue to lose energy till about, 12 o'clock midnight, when the cycle again changes, right? So this is very, very important actually to understand. Now let us look at some of the practical uses of this, and I'll give an exercise as well. You see, any work that actually you want to do, anything that you want to do, the best time to do that is in that first cycle, you see, from 4 o'clock till about 7:30 in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning till 7:30 in the morning, because you're receiving the maximum amount of energy, right? Anyway, you can continue, with that positive cycle right till the afternoon. I'll give you an example. If you are, say, working in an office, when you go in the morning and you talk to people and you say good morning, they're very receptive. When you have a meeting, you see, when you have these meetings at about 10 o'clock, from your own experience, you will know that when you talk to people, when you have meetings in the office, people are very receptive, right? But what happens at 12 o'clock mid-afternoon, everyone actually starts losing energy, right? So to hold meetings and to talk to people and try to get difficult things done, one should not actually do that after mid-afternoon, because everyone is losing energy and no one is really interested in much, So that is actually the time when you utilize the energy resources that you got during the first and the second quarter, right? And then what happens? At 6 o'clock, when it is sunset, you see, what happens is that, you see, you're totally down. The energy, you're losing tremendous amounts of energy. Now, when actually you're losing this energy, you see, especially darkness, the forces of negativity, right? They are very active when actually it is dark, right? And let me give you an example. You see, the act of sexuality or reproduction belongs to the forces of darkness. And when do you see men and women conjugate or have sex? That is at 9:30 in the night till about 11:30. You see, more than 90% of them actually undertake this phase of what we call the conjugation or the sexual act and reproduction, right? Because that's when you are very tired, you are very exhausted, and nature unleashes these forces, into the human being, and you think that actually you're enjoying yourself. That is why, the great sages like Sage Ramana, Master Beinsa Douno, Jesus, Buddha, he walked away from his wife. They know and understand all these facts. Right? So, especially when it is, you see, after 6 o'clock, when the forces are very, very active, you must be very careful. But nowadays, it's the opposite. People sit, across the dining table, have dinner, and all sorts of things are discussed, battles are fought, and you name it. And that is not the right time to do. If you, want anyone to do anything for you, or you want to ask a favor, or you got to tell something which your wife may not like, or the wife has to tell something the husband may not like, right, which is quite common in families, because I'm also married with children and grandchildren, right? So you always do that in the morning. And I'll tell you a very great secret here as well. Before you actually go to sleep, especially the last half an hour, if there are a lot of things which actually are, really troubling you, you just think about them and go to sleep. Just think and go to sleep, and that's all. When you wake up in the morning, when you wake up at 5 o'clock or 4:30 or 5:30, suddenly the answers will come to you. You see, these are some of the most beautiful things which actually I'm explaining to you from a spiritual perspective, right? So please look at this diagram. It is very, very important, and this explains the very heart, the very center of this particular spiritual discussion. Now, I'm going to ask you to do a small exercise as well. What actually happens, you see, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, when you start actually losing energy or giving out energy, you see what happens is that by some means, this energy that actually you are losing is actually returned back to the physical sun, right? From the physical sun, this is returned back to the central sun, right? And the energy which has been lost, that it is then regenerated, it is sort of refilled with that required solar energy, and then it comes back to the physical sun. So from the physical sun, then you see, when it is midnight until mid-afternoon, you are receiving positive energy, right? And once again, when it is midday, then again this energy starts returning back to the physical sun, then to the central sun. This is the cycle, right? This is also the great law of circular motion. I'll talk about that towards the end of this spiritual discussion, right? So, if you just sit on a chair, say it is in the morning, and you just hang your arms, say I'm just hanging my arms, and you can actually feel that energy is entering your physical cells. I'm just talking about very, very simple things, right? Similarly, if it is, say, around sunset, say around 5 o'clock your time, wherever you may be, and you leave actually your hands, you see what happens is that actually you will find that energy is leaving your physical body. You can actually test it with yourself, right? So try this out. I'm not just trying to misguide or mislead you. This is something which came from the great Rishi, Master Beinsa Douno, which for the first time, because, the spiritual world communicated to me, that is why I'm actually putting this forward, for anyone who wants to benefit actually from this. Okay, now I'm going to tell you something very, very beautiful, right? You know the 4 seasons. Spring. What happens in spring? You see, human beings are not so conscious, but in spring, you see, there are, just greenery everywhere, flowers everywhere, right? And then from spring, we move to the next season, summer. Right, look, I'm showing you pictures as well as we are going along. This is the picture of the 4 seasons, right? You can see the flowers blossoming in spring and you can see the greenery in summer. So in summer as well, you see, there is actually greenery. You know, what is the reason? Because this is the bigger cycle, right? I'm talking about the microcosmic and your cycle, which is the macrocosmic cycle, and this bigger 365 days cycle. Now, you see, what happens is that there is a lot of prana, lot of solar energy in spring. That is why you see everywhere, the plants and nature is actually growing. There are green leaves, flowers everywhere. In summer as well, there is a lot of solar energy, lot of etheric energy, you see, but the solar energy or the pranic energy which is there in summer is not so much as it is in spring, right? Now what happens in autumn? You see, in autumn, suddenly the cycle reverses. The amount of solar energy really reduces. There's hardly any, right? And what happens is, you see the leaves turning brown. The leaves start actually falling off. You don't actually see so much of greenery. You can just look around, even in this diagram, which we are showing the 4 seasons, right? And then what happens? After autumn comes winter. After autumn comes winter, and winter is death. You see, winter is like death. What happens? That virtually all the leaves are gone from the trees, from the bushes, and they barely survive on the food that is coming up from their roots. Right? So now look at it. If I translate this into, Tom's cycle who lives in Sydney, or if I translate it into your day-night cycle, you see what happens. You see, from 12 o'clock midnight till 6 o'clock in the morning, when you're receiving the maximum amount of energy, that is actually like your spring. Right? You're in the spring in your 24 hours day-night cycle, right? Then, you see, from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock, it is like summer for you because you're still receiving energy, right? But not to the extent which you received during the spring from midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning, right? So you go from your spring to your summer. The first quarter to the second quarter. This is beautiful actually, you see. Now, and then what happens at mid-afternoon? Remember I told you that you start giving out energy, right? So what happens is that here you go into autumn. So learn to behave during your autumn the way nature is behaving outside. You see, there is no growth, there is no greenery, right? So you got to manage with your energy resources, whatever you have got. So your autumn continues from mid-afternoon right up till sunset, right? And then what happens? From sunset, right, till midnight, from 6 o'clock in the evening till 12 midnight, right, is actually your winter, right? This is actually your winter, right? In which you have to actually really, just go within yourself. Don't get into arguments because you see, winter is actually called like death in nature. And that's exactly what it is in your day-night cycle. After 6 o'clock, it is like death because you see, your energy reservoirs have dried. They have actually gone down. It is time to sit back, to relax, to take it easy and prepare for the next day. Right? So this is very, very beautiful from your from your spring. You look at, there's a diagram that actually we are actually putting up here. It shows actually, this diagram shows the macrocosmic cycle, the 4 seasons, which is spring, summer, autumn and winter. And it shows your 24-hour day-night cycle, right? Which is again from, I'm just summarizing, from 12 o'clock midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning, it's your spring. Learn to behave how you would in spring. Do all your important things at that time, right? Then from 6 o'clock in the morning till midday, right? Till afternoon 12 o'clock, that's your summer, right? Then from 12 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock is your autumn, right? Learn from nature. See how nature behaves in autumn. There's not much energy left, right? And then from 6 o'clock in the evening, which is sunset time, till 12 o'clock now, midnight, that's your winter, right? So you got to, this is the synchronization of, your biorhythms during the 24-hour day-night cycle with those of the biorhythms of nature. At the bigger cycle, the 365 days cycle, and then here at this smaller cycle through which, the day and night cycle through which we go through every day, right? So I hope that a lot of information has been passed on to you, and these are not facts which are written in scriptures or somebody is actually telling you. These are actually the august laws of nature, right? You try these out, as my Rishi has said, that if you try this out for a few years, right, even in few weeks, you will find a huge change coming about within yourself, right? Now I want to just give you a few more facts, right, about this. Now look at it very carefully again. These are spiritual scientific facts. You see, what happens is, at sunrise, 1.5 hours before that, say from 4:30 to 6 o'clock in the morning when sunrise is there, you see, what happens is that your nervous system, the central nervous system, and your brain, the nerves there, right, they are actually receiving energy so that your nervous system can function for the next 24 hours, right? Then from 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the morning, you see, your lungs, the heart, the circulatory system, that is actually receiving energy for its functionality, right? And then from 9 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock, you see, your digestive system and all the organs associated with it, they receive energy. So if your tummy is upset or you're trying to do something with your stomach, right, it's always good to take that medication, say around 9:30 in the morning, because then you see, nature, the solar energy flowing is providing energy actually to that area. And then after 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not actually receiving any more energy. This is basically how the human body is actually functioning, right? Now, let's go on to the law of circular motion. Look, this is a universal law, right? And this law of circular motion is basically everywhere. You see, everything in nature, everything that is created is because of this law of circular motion, right? And the Rishi has given some astounding examples. You know how you see with your eyes? What happens is that you see this light travels from here, your upper right eyebrow down, right? From there it goes across to the upper left eyebrow, it comes down, and then it goes right across. So you see, it's like a 8. So as a result of this 8, actually, which is formed, you see there's a center here which regulates this flow of energy, and this is how you see. Incredible, actually, isn't it? It's an incredible piece of information. And then you can look at the law of circular motion everywhere. Look, when you eat food, fruits, vegetables, be vegetarian, right? Be kind to nature, be kind to animals, right? When you eat fruits and vegetables, or whenever actually you are eating, right, what happens? You take it in, it goes to your digestive system, you digest it, and whatever are the good nutrients are utilized by the body, right? And then what happens? You see, in the form of urine or feces, the waste material comes out. But when it comes out, where does it go? It goes to Mother Earth, right? Acts as a fertilizer. And from Mother Earth only, we produce those plants and we produce those fruits, right? So can you see how, starting from your mouth, we went to Mother Earth, and from Mother Earth we came back to your mouth. This is again a circular motion. Similarly, look at the heart. It is actually pumping blood, right? So what happens is it goes through the arteries, goes through the veins, right? And then eventually it returns back, you see, through the heart to be purified by the lungs. You can see this law of circular motion there as well. But there is one very beautiful universal law of circular motion. You see, the blood actually cannot circulate just by the physical heart alone, right? Sorry, I always put my hand on the etheric heart, which is in the etheric body. You see, the physical heart cannot actually circulate this entire blood. You know how the blood is actually circulated? Our physical sun is actually like a heart. What happens? From the central sun, the light is coming to the physical sun. From the physical sun, it comes to you. And wherever you are living, it comes to Mother Earth. From there, it is returned back to the physical sun. And then from the physical sun, it goes back to the central sun, as I had explained before, right? So you see, it is a circular motion. This is the great circular motion, you see, in our galaxy, as a result of which everything actually is functioning. So I think that now, I have given you enough knowledge and enough information. So just concluding, you see, coming to the end of this spiritual discussion, please always synchronize your biorhythms with the biorhythms of nature. Know what your microcosmic day-night cycle is. Know when is the right time to do the right things, right? I've given a lot of examples, right? Know that how to move through your spring in the first quarter to your summer, right? And then from summer into autumn, and from autumn into winter. This is the most beautiful piece of information which comes out from this spiritual discussion. So this is how we will slowly move forward in this series, of videos, which will be about half an hour to 40 minutes each. And this is my promise to you, right? And this is basically what the spiritual world has asked me to do. And this is where I have actually attained to myself, right? So I'm only telling you facts which have already been proven, tried and tested out, right? And this will slowly lead you to a state of what we call as unconditional happiness or absolute happiness and oneness with your true nature. So once again, of all things, I would like to thank you for having given your time and listened patiently to this video, and I hope that it will help you to attain more happiness, peace, quiet and serenity in your life. Thank you.